Here's my view on the proposed sale on Wembley. Now, yesterday I did a balanced video where I weighed up and I was not 100% certain. This is my personal view and I'm completely against this sale. Completely against the sale. The FA will make a loss on the stadium, first off. Secondly, the FA are asset rich, which is a problem because they have no bloody money. The structures of the FA need reforming anyway. The guy owns Fulham Football Club. Conflict of interest should automatically block any deal. Any deal. Where to begin? The stadium is still not fully paid off. There's still debt there. Does he take it on? Does the FA keep that debt? What happens? The NFL angle. The Tottenham have already got an agreement with the NFL for 2 games for the next 10 years, every year. And I think the rest of the games, I think 3 games will be played at Wembley. Now, this guy wants to have Jacksonville Jaguar home games played at Wembley, which, no, it's not going to happen. Please don't let it happen. NFL fans are already, in the US, not keen on this. Fans over here, wake up and smell the music. Seriously, the FA is selling out hallowed turf. It's like the RFU selling Twickenham, or Lords being sold by the ECB, or Silverstone being sold by the British Drive Racing Club. It's just not right. It's not on. They did it with Donington and they fucked that up. I'm completely against this. The national game has been sold to foreigners who are unscrupulous, and ticket prices keep going up. So yeah, if you want to have games on the road for England, which possibly could happen. Remember last time, the FA weren't paying policing costs. The clubs that hosted those England internationals were. The FA didn't pay for security costs. The clubs did. The clubs had to bid, pay money to the FA to have the rights to have that international game at their stadium. The FA didn't go, we'll pull it out of a straw hat. You had to bid. You had to pay money to the FA. The FA have financially mismanaged themselves for years. This is a very short-sighted way out of their problems. They need structural reform. Because the guy owns Fulham Football Club, that is an automatic conflict of interest because the FA headquarters are in Wembley. That should be a red flag for me. But hey, the FA sees 800 million, 300 million for Club Wembley, which needs to go because that is a disgraceful little company. It rips off average football fans for ticket prices because they're far too high, and 500 million for the stadium, which means the FA has just made a loss on the stadium. A massive loss on the stadium. They've made a profit on Club Wembley, but they've made a loss on the stadium. Not right. We, the taxpayer, helped fund that stadium build. It took 6 years. Look at Tottenham Stadium. It's going to take 18 months. Spurs have got it right. The FA got it wrong. The FA were very, very quick to please, and the NFL wanted to have international series games. They did it a one-off, and it worked. So the FA were like, oh, yeah, pay us loads of money. We can wreck our stadium. You can wreck our pitch. We don't care. We're taking the money. It's a money grab, plain and simple. It's a short-sighted money grab. And for those on Twitter who said, the foreign investment in the English football and English sport in general has helped our sports, okay then, why is the national side so poor? And why are clubs racked with debt? And why are ticket prices going up and up and up and up? They've been going up constantly for over a decade, far more than inflation. Footballers' wages have gone through the roof. There is no transparency in the sport. There is no transparency in anything the FA does anymore. The whole Mark Sampson, Enioluco racism scandal was badly handled. The FA needs internal reform. Why is it that the Minister for Sport, Media and Culture has been asked an urgent question on this? Why has it that no past or present Minister for Sport has been in front of the Select Committee saying this is a bad idea? Because it is. Because what happens if this guy ends up in financial difficulty at some point? Does the FA buy the stadium back for more than it's worth? Because they're selling it for less than it's worth. So I wouldn't be surprised if this guy, at some point in not 5-10 years' time, when the NFL blocks the Jacksonville Jaguars move to London, because the NBA have already stated that when they had their Boston Celtic games over here this year, reporter asked him, what's your views on having a Major League Sports franchise from North America relocate or expand over here? And he was against it. He said, no, the logistics are all wrong. The fans will not support it over in the US. They won't. The travel time, the timings for TV, that is crucial. You would have to have games late at night. And the transport infrastructure, there's not enough 24-hour tube lines because for some reason the Labour Party is against having a 24-hour tube and so are the trade unions. it means London is a 12-hour city. It shuts down. So the transport links, there's not enough late night buses and late night tubes for the NFL to have a franchise there because of the TV timings. We're 5 hours ahead. So the prime time is between 8 and 10, maybe 11 p.m. They'll have to play the game in the middle of the bloody night for the prime TV revenue. It's going to count against it. The player welfare for all the travel. Players have always said it's a weird experience playing in London because you've got to travel. So you miss training days. You miss recovery days because you've got to travel a lot. And it screws the jet lag. Players have already voiced their concerns in the NFL. That's another reason. The NHL and NBA have taken games on the road to Europe in the last couple of years, and they have been interviewed, members of the teams that played, and they said no, because of the logistics, the cost. It would actually cost more money to run a team over here than it makes. Because there's exchange rate. Because the salaries are paid in US dollars, not pounds. And there's a thing called exchange rates and exchange rate fees. To be paid in US dollars when you're living in the UK makes no sense because you've got to change your money up into pounds and there's an exchange rate. Hence why there's issues with the NHL expanding into Canada because the Canadian dollar keeps fluctuating, and with the current pound how it's fluctuated since the Brexit vote, that's another problem. I have a lot of concerns. If youth development is part of this package, why, in that case, that they should support Huddersfield in keeping their academy open? The FA done nothing when it shut. Nothing. Did not lift a finger to help Huddersfield. The FA has proven that if a club has into financial problems, instead of bailing them out and assisting them in finding a buyer and finding a solution, they dock them points and make sure they get relegated to the league below so they struggle financially even more. They don't lift a finger to help. And you can ask any fan up and down this country whose club has been in financial problems or badly run by unscrupulous owners because the fit and proper persons test is not adhered to, how they feel about the FA. Deep down. Because the FA did nothing to help their clubs when they were being badly run and being taken for a ride. Ticket prices. A proportion of your ticket price goes to the FA. To be a member of the FA, you have to give a proportion of your earnings and your ticket salary and your ticket revenue straight to the FA. Yet the FA is crippled with debt. The FA has made itself very asset rich. St George's Park, big folly, big waste of money in my eyes. If it's for elite development, why is the England side so poor, and why are all these England players not getting enough playing time in the league? Because foreign ownership, foreign managers, and foreign player influx, and the stupidly high wages that Premier League clubs play, and the debt. If the FA leads the way with being in debt, it actually owes less debt than some football clubs in the league structure who owe hundreds, if not billions of pounds, hundreds of millions, if not billions of pounds in debt. That's my view on it. It's short-sighted, it's a cop-out, it's sleazy, it's cheap, it's wrong. The national game, the national sport has been sold out by unscrupulous people who are after a big fat paycheck because they can write back to the Parliament saying, we've made a profit, the FA's made a profit this year of £800 million, we can give ourselves fat bonuses. We, the taxpayer, paid for that stadium, partly. Give us some of the money to us. Give us a rebate. Oh, with the TV deals he unscrupulously signed, let us in for free for 5 years then, because the clubs even admitted with the TV deals they signed, and they worked out the revenue per season, they could let us in for free for 5 years. Yet the ticket prices keep going up and the FA doesn't say enough is enough. There is no salary cap in place, so salaries are out of control. Agents' fees are out of control. There's no transparency in the running of football clubs. There's lack of fan involvement. The FA does nothing. So yeah, this is more of an angry blast at the FA. I'm giving both barrels here. The FA has let the game down continually since before the inception of the Premier League. That's the reason why the Premier League was started, because a proportion of clubs were unhappy with how the league structure was being run. They were unhappy with the direction the game was going. So they resigned from the Football League and formed their own. So that's my view on it all. It's a grubby deal. I'm against it completely. There's a lot of issues with it. They're selling the stadium for less than what it's fucking worth. Second F-bomb. Yeah. They're going to make a loss. If they're so keen on youth development, why is Huddersfield's academy being forced to shut down? And the FA didn't even lift a finger this season to help them. Tell me that. The FA has structural problems in administration and how the game is run. And they are allowed the fit and proper persons test and the financial fair play is a joke because it's never enforced. The FA needs structural reform. It needs more ex-players and ex-managers and ex-coaches involved in the running of the game and ex-referees, because there's not enough of them. There's too many of these pen pushers who've never kicked a football in their life or don't even know how to play the game properly, running the game. And this is a symptom. This is a consequence and a symptom of the mismanagement the FA has had for 20, 30 years. This is a consequence. They're selling the National Stadium to an American. So all those fans say, oh, ticket prices will be fine, it's all going to be good. Your prices are going to go up. Because this guy wants to make his money back on paying here on $1 billion for our national stadium. He's going to make as much money out of this as possible to cover his purchase. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Sorry for the rant, but it had to be done. I'm completely against this sale. Completely. The numbers don't stack up because the FA is still indebted to the creditors and the developers of Wembley Stadium. They have 6 years left on the payment plan that they announced in January. They didn't make any announcement there was a deal in place, a possibility of a purchase. So 4 months ago, they announced that they had come to a payment plan with the developers, the creditors and the investors in Wembley Stadium to pay them all back their money. They said nothing about this proposed deal. And it's proposed, but the way the statements that we made, it's looking like the FA have copped out and are going to make as much money as possible out of this. That doesn't mean that they won't get back into debt next year, because there is financial mismanagement and there are issues with the FA. But I'm going to leave that there before I blow up. I'm not even sure how American sports fans feel about, buying Wembley Stadium. I mean, how do you feel? I've got American and Canadian subscribers. How do you guys feel? How would you feel if Madison Square Garden, for example, the Knicks home and the Rangers home was sold to a Chinese owner? How would you feel on that? Because you don't really have a national stadium for rugby or for, as you would call, soccer. We do. It's part of our culture. It's part of who we are as a sporting nation. And for some reason, the FA want to sell out. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Stay cool. Like, subscribe. Place your views below, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.